The VA loan is a lot more attainable for Army and Air National Guard members than you think. In April of 21, the VA expanded home loan eligibility for Army and Air National Guard members to be able to use the VA loan much sooner than before. Still, people don't know about the program, and also the reserve does not have access to this program as well. So it is unique just for Guard members. So why am I talking about it today? Well, because the program was actually rescinded on April 1st of 24, but the VA is still honoring the program. I just got off the phone with this. When I came up with the idea for the video, I'm like, wait a second, like, how did this even happen? But it did, but they're still honoring it. So you might as well utilize it while you can before they get rid of it. So there's going to be 8 factors that I'm going to talk about when it comes to eligibility and the expanded programs. The first one we're going to talk about is normal qualifications under the being a National Guard members. So in the event this eligibility program, expanded eligibility program goes away. So the first one is you serve 6 years, you do your 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year for annual training. You do that for 6 years straight, you're good to go, and you're gonna have your VA home loan. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is that if you miss a drill and you have a bad year, you may not have enough points to qualify for the VA loan. We've seen it multiple times. You do your 6 months, you get, or 6 years, you get out, and now all of a sudden you can't use your VA loan and you don't want to get back in. Don't put yourself in that position. Check your annual points every year. The other part is if you have prior service, active duty of 24 months and you separated on honorable condition, then you already have your VA loan. Now you're in the National Guard. You're already good to go. Now, let's say you're serving in the National Guard and that's your only service. If you have 90 consecutive days on Title 10 orders, then you are able to use your VA loan, even if you served in the military, which, by the way, training does not count towards this active orders. So if you went for basic training, AIT training, or you went to some kind of school after AIT, that still is not going to count towards this 90 consecutive days on Title 10 orders because it was for training and not for activation, right? So normal deployment, something like that, would qualify you for that. And then you just take that and submit it to the VA. Now, let's talk about the second thing, which is expanded eligibility. Who is eligible? So like I mentioned, it's going to be Army National Guard and Air National Guard members that performed at least 90 cumulative days of full-time National Guard duty on Title 32. And of those 90 cumulative days, 30 of those days must be consecutive, okay? And again, this is unique because normally they never had Title 32 count towards that, but because of COVID and the riots, they decided to expand that because there's so much National Guard members were being activated so much. So let's talk about and dive into what this full-time National Guard duty definition is and what orders fall underneath that, because you're going to have to compile some of your orders if you want to get the cumulative piece. But remember, the most important part to this is having the 90 consecutive days to those orders, okay? So this technically can include training and other duty under the Section 32 or the USC, okay? These are the orders types that you can be under: 316, 502, 503, 504, and 505. Again, if you're serving in the Guard, you'll know exactly where to find that. It's right on your orders. And you also have to be entitled to be paid by the United States, the DOD, or have a waiver for pay if you're collecting service-connected disability. But if you have a service-connected disability, it doesn't mean you automatically qualify for the VA home loan. So that's just something that you have to realize. It just depends on your situation. We've seen it plenty of times where people have 100% disability or 90% disability, but they don't meet the requirement for getting their VA home loan. And remember, this does not include your monthly drills, basic, initial training, or your annual training. So all those dates will not count towards this objective. The fourth part to this is that This is also retroactive. So even if you, like, let's say you met all the criteria, but you weren't eligible in 20, like, let's say prior to 21, you still can be able to go in and get that. Even if you've been out for 20 years, you can still go back, challenges, getting those orders, get those orders, submit them to the VA, and then be able to process them. So we're happy to help you with that. In the description, you can request your certificate of eligibility. Most lenders will not know how to do it. I can promise you that. And the reason I know that is because we come across it all the time. You have to be able to talk with the command, get the correct letters, like a certificate of eligibility, which is the fifth part, which is obtaining your certificate of eligibility. Now, you can go to the va.gov's website. If you got credentials, you just go right on there and request it yourself. Someone like me can help you out with that as well. I can request it. Most of the time, you're going to get denied. It's okay, because you need to then provide supporting documents. A certificate of eligibility is like your golden ticket, like Willy Wonka's golden ticket, to be able to actually use the VA home loan and purchase a property, right? Eligibility and qualification are two different pieces. A COE gives you the ability to use a VA loan. Qualification, do you meet the income, credit, collateral to be able to actually use the VA loan, is another part, and that's what we teach on a lot on this channel. So make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button, get more content like this. Now let's go into the documents required, and it is a hefty list. And I'm also going to link the actual circular that came out from the VA so you guys could look at it yourself, because I know this is a lot of information. So typically need a DD form 214, right? We all know what DD 214 is, right? Separation from service. So if you had orders, you're going to compile those and provide them. There's also a DD form 220, which is a report of active service with accompanying orders, right? You're going to provide that. And remember, orders do get adjusted. So when you submit things to the VA, they'll know. Like, for example, I deployed in 21 when this rule was into effect, and I had 1 year orders, but it ended up being 6 months, because we normally are put on 6-month deployments, but it just ended up being that they gave me orders for a year. They needed an amendment. You will need to provide that. Now, sometimes you're going to need a statement of service. This is typically going to come from your command, letting them know how long you've been in the service, character of discharge, all that fun stuff. Also, you might have to provide retirement point statements, or what's called an NGB 23 form, right? It's the National Guard Bureau retirement credits record, right? And plus any additional documents you want to provide. Sometimes what I will see people provide as well to accompany, let's say, orders, is going to be your pay printouts, your LESs. Like, it's just more documentation, the better it is. Now, the sixth thing we're going to talk about is really how to avoid processing delays. And the one thing that you can do is clearly have a timeline with your orders all stacked up neatly, because that has to be submitted to the VA for them to be able to approve it or deny it, which, again, looking at it ahead of time significantly helps you structure that entire piece to the process. And with all of that, right, the seventh thing is, like, once you have that piece completed, at that point, that's when you want to be able to then apply for a VA home loan, because you have your certificate of eligibility. Normally, we don't tell people to wait. We just tell them, like, go ahead and apply. The challenge is that this can take a little bit of time. This normally, to get, let's say, a certificate of eligibility, takes, like, it's instant, or worst case, it takes 3 days from the time you submit it. In these cases, it can take a little longer because we have to dig through documents. We're happy to help with that. And then once you finish that piece up, then roll right into a pre-approval process, because National Guard members have a little bit tricky of a situation when it comes to qualifying for a VA home loan, just because you have civilian income, you have your deployments, you have trainings that go into that. So it's sometimes hard for lenders to be able to mesh that together. But no worries, we know how to do it. We do it all day long. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with is, again, the rescission date on this is April 1st of 24, meaning that this program technically is gone. like completely gone, which makes it odd because if you use the VA loan and then you're eligible, you bought a house, you technically be not eligible anymore if you're trying to go based on these Title 32 requirements. So I don't know what they're going to do about it, but like I said, I talked to them today, and as of today, they are honoring it and still issuing them. So get in line before it's too late. I'll catch you guys soon.